All right, the best part of the barbecue is at the end of the day, once food's done, we got s'mores. It's an absolute ritual to roast your marshmallows over the barbecue with your friends, gets everybody around the place that made your food for the day. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just take a skewer, put the marshmallow on there, and toast it over the coals. Now the trick with this is to get your marshmallow nice and golden brown on the outside, keep a little rotation with it, and get it nice and creamy on the inside. All right, so we're nice and golden brown. Now while she's still hot, take your biscuit of choice. I prefer good old graham crackers, but you can use a digestive, you can use a tea biscuit. Take a couple of pieces of chocolate, push them down into the warm marshmallow. Oh, look at that. Another graham cracker, put it on top. Let it sit for a minute. You want that chocolate to melt right into that marshmallow. And then you gotta dive in. It's gonna get messy, but it's gonna be good. S'mores. Amazing. For this recipe and more, go to foodnetwork.co.uk. So my perfect all-time favorite barbecue side dish, corn on the cob. You gotta have it. Take some melted butter. We're gonna throw in a little spice, jalapeno peppers, why not? It's always good to give your guests a nice little zap as they bite into their corn on the cob. Trade secret, I'm going to lightly oil my fingers before I cut into this jalapeno to just sort of protect my skin and obviously my eyes from the pepper juice. So we're just gonna chop these guys up quite finely. Try and take as many of the seeds out as possible. That's gonna be the spicy bits. All right, so peppers are going into the butter. Next up, to cool the pepper down just a little bit so you don't burn somebody's mouth, I'm gonna give it a little bit of lime zest. And as well, we're gonna just squeeze a little bit of that lime into the butter. We're gonna add a little bit of smoked sea salt. What's really nice with the smoked salt is that it's gonna give it that extra flavor of the barbecue. A little bit of pepper, and then another little secret too is some honey. It's gonna bring out the natural sugars that's in the corn when it goes on the grill. Just gives it a really nice sweet taste. So from there, we're just gonna mix it up. Now if you don't wanna add in the jalapenos, or if you don't like honey, just keep it really nice and simple with salt and pepper. All right, that all mixed together. We are now going to do the dirty work. These corn on the cobs have been store-bought, so they're already partially shucked. What's really nice is if you can find the corn with the full husk on there. It cooks better on the grill. With these guys, we are gonna have to wrap them in tin foil. But what I'm gonna do is just partially peel the husks back, and we're just gonna start lathering them on. Be very generous with the butter. Helps it cook, gives it a really nice flavor. Buttered, now you're gonna pull the husks back up. Try and protect the corn kernels themselves from getting burnt on the grill. To even a little bit more protection, we are going to wrap them in tin foil. Now you want to try and wrap them so that you keep the butter in there. Nice little summer present on the barbecue. All right, throw them on the barbie. We're ready to grill. About 30 minutes later on the grill, we've got our nice spicy corn on the cob. Watch out for the steam. Now, I do like to plate these up with the husks still on there, so your guests or yourself can just de-husk it at the table. Just a little garnish. Give it some little chop of coriander. And you are ready for your sweet jalapeno corn on the cob. For this recipe and more, go to foodnetwork.co.uk. I'm sure you've heard it before, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, this is one of those. It is my 4th of July tradition, Beerbot Chicken. Super easy to make. What we're gonna do is we are going to take some olive oil. We're gonna make a marinade that we're actually gonna stuff the chicken with. Rosemary that we've already chopped up, some garlic, and then a little smoked sea salt, and then pepper. Give that a little stir. Now with the chicken, you are going to cut on top of the breasts, just through the skin. Make a couple little incisions, Now you get to get your fingers dirty. You are going to peel the skin, make a couple of pockets that this marinade is going to sit in. Then, easy enough, stuff it. Try and get the olive oil mixture all the way down into the bottom of the breast as well. Funny story with my Beerbot chicken is it actually came from an English friend of mine that had moved over to the States. We were at a barbecue one time and he didn't tell us what he was doing. He just brought it to the table and pulled the chicken off of the can of beer and surprised us all. And I'll tell you what, I've made it ever since. Now what we're gonna take is a can of beer. Oh, you gotta love that sound. You wanna empty out a couple of inches or 4 of the beer itself. Might as well taste it to make sure it's all right. Once you've got the marinade in the chicken, I'm just gonna push a couple of sprigs of rosemary in there and to add a little bit of extra flavor. All right, now the fun bit. We put the chicken on the beer can. Now the reason why we do this is basically cook it from the inside out. The beer itself is going to bubble up and boil up through the center of the chicken and the meat. Just give it a nice little tug and a push. Perfect stand, a beer can. You are going to do your veg at the same time, why not? Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, pardon the pun. Then with that remaining beer that you pour out earlier, just fill the bottom of the tin with that. We are gonna put the tin foil over the chicken, but I am going to coat the outside with the rest of the marinade. Now the nice thing with this recipe is you can keep it pretty healthy. You've not used any butter, you've only used olive oil, and when you go to serve the chicken, you can take the skin off, so you don't have to worry about that extra chicken fat. All right, she's ready to go in. We're gonna put her on the grill for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Make sure you do check the temperature before you take her out. All right, the bird is done. She's still steaming. The biggest question ever asked is, what's it gonna look like now? Look at that. All right, now the tricky bit, it's gonna tip her over. With your tea towel, pull the can out. Ah, nice and easy. This smells absolutely amazing. The garlic, the rosemary, is just incredible what the beer does to the chicken, as well as the vegetables. Perfect marinade. Now in my world, nothing goes to waste. You can actually take the beer that's left in the tin and reduce it down into a really nice flavorful gravy that goes great, obviously, with the chicken and veg. And there is my Beerbot chicken. For this recipe and more, go to foodnetwork.co.uk. Well, nothing is better at a summer barbecue than barbecued ribs. We are going to start with 2 racks of barbecue ribs. Now we need to place them on the top shelf of the barbecue. Give them a nice slow cook for about 45 minutes before we start basting. I'm gonna let those puppies cook. All right, now we are gonna make the barbecue sauce as well. Why not? Let's make our own, yeah? Keep it adventurous. Now I've already softened some onions here. We're gonna throw in a cup of molasses, give it a nice, dark, rich flavor. A cup of ketchup. We've got a cup of water. And then a couple tablespoons of Italian seasoning. And then approximately 2 cubes or so of bouillon. Now we're gonna mix this together. And what you're gonna do is, it's really easy actually if you make it the day before, because you will have to reduce the sauce on the stovetop, or actually even on the grill, for about 45 minutes. Put it in a nice little pan here and put it on the stove. All right, we've already prepared the sauce here. It's already been reduced. You can either baste it as it is, but I like it smooth, so we're gonna blitz it. All right, so now all we have to do is go right to the grill and start basting. Wow, look at these guys. I'm gonna start basting the meat, meat side down, to hold the sauce better in the bones while it marinates it a little bit more. You can be very generous with the barbecue sauce. You want this flavor that you've created to go right through. And as we all know, more is more. More is better. All right, with the first round done, you want to check these guys every 5-10 minutes or so and give them a good baste each 10 minutes. Do it about 3 or 4 times. and your ribs are ready to go. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to get into these guys. All right, let's get them off. Look at that. Oh, still sizzling. Perfect color, perfect texture, nice and sticky. With this sauce, go generous with it. You can use it as a dipping sauce on the barbecue table. Goes great with chicken, goes great with fish. From my mom to you, it's the all-purpose barbecue sauce. For this recipe and more, go to foodnetwork.co.uk. All right, I've got a super simple, super fast side dish for your barbecue called red, white, and blue coleslaw. We're gonna start with making the dressing first. Again, like I said, it couldn't be easier enough. Sugar, mayonnaise, as with any good salad dressing, and some vinegar. I actually came about this recipe when I got invited to a barbecue actually on the 4th of July when the theme was easy enough, red, white, and blue. Well, I couldn't find any blue vegetables because that was my task was to bring a side dish to the barbecue. So I came up with, why don't we add a little blue cheese into the coleslaw? Don't worry if the mayonnaise is a little bit clumpy at first, because once you do put it into the cabbage, it'll smooth itself out. All right, so we're gonna take the dressing. We're just gonna pour it right into the cabbage. Add in some blue cheese to taste, as much or as little as you like. I do like a good blue cheese, so I will add in quite a bit. Some bacon, and then some cherry tomatoes. I've halved these, but you can either leave them whole to garnish on top, or you can quarter them up and they sit a little bit better in the coleslaw. Give it a nice stir. All right, once you got that all mixed together, throw it in the refrigerator for maybe an hour or so before the party. Make sure that it's nice and chilled when you serve it with your ribs, chicken, or whatever you've got on the barbecue. For this recipe and more, go to foodnetwork.co.uk.